Marlena is right now. Thank you very much.
Hey, how are you tonight? Hello. Is everybody good? Yes. Good? Yeah? Yeah? How many times a day does people ask you that when you're walking around? How are you? Good? Yeah? Yeah? Are you always good? You see, that question takes on a whole other meaning when you're 31 years old and have an 11-week-old infant and find out you have cancer, lymphoma. And you go to the grocery store, and Becky, with the name tag and the scrunchie and the frizzy ponytail at the grocery store, is checking your groceries, your rice crackers, because that's the only thing that you can eat without feeling like you're going to throw up. And she looks at you and she says, "How are you today?" And you say, "I'm fine." Because you know Becky doesn't really want to know. Becky couldn't handle it. And most people can't, and most people don't want to know. And so you really only share that with the people you're closest with. But you still hear the question all day. And you start to get tired because the dissonance between how you feel and what's coming out of your mouth is exhausting. Luckily, I had this great friend, Liz, who made me these sexy little cancer tank tops with personalized sayings on them to cheer me up, like, "Fuck cancer" and "lymphomaniac." And so this is what I wore to my first chemotherapy treatment, the first of 8, by the way. And this is what I wore when I walked into the chemotherapy center for the first time. And if you have not been to a place like this, when you walk in, the first thing you're hit with is the smell of disinfectant and Band-Aids and crushing fear of death. So if you can walk in and make some people smile, you feel good. And that happened, and I was feeling pretty good. And that's what I was wearing when I met my chemotherapy nurse, Colin, who I would have for the next 8 treatments. And what Colin was wearing was a perfectly pressed, button-down shirt, buttoned all the way up to the neck and carefully at the wrists. And she had a nice conservative haircut and sensible shoes and a face scrubbed clean of all makeup. We were different. But she looked at me with the most compassion and presence in her eyes, and she held my arm, and before she put in the needle that was to administer the poison that was supposed to save me, she said, "Marlena, how are you?" And I learned that when Colleen asks, "How are you?" she means it. And if I needed an aspirin, she got me that. And if I needed a doctor, she got me that. And if I needed a pillow or water or a sandwich or anything else, she made sure that I got what I needed. And we got to know each other because I was there for hours and hours over many months. And we found out we weren't so different. She had a daughter about my age, and she had a granddaughter a little older than my son, and they both lived with her. And we talked a lot. And it was that presence, that talking, that really being with, not just, "Oh, how are you? Good," but that really being there that made all the difference and made just made it worth it. And I would go home after each treatment feeling utterly poisoned and also really grateful that there was somebody there who cared. So I made it through the chemotherapy treatment, and then I made it through radiation, which caused me to lose 20 pounds, and where every day I would go in, and the lady at the front desk, different department of the hospital, and would say, "How are you today?" Every day, as I was losing weight, until I finally said, "I'm not good." And she stopped after that. And so I made it through that too, and then a year later, I'm in the car, and it's this beautiful spring day, and my family, we're going out to eat. And it's a great day to be alive, not just because of the weather, but because I've been cancer-free for a year. And as we walk into the restaurant, I put my hand on the door, and just this feeling of utter warmth washes over my whole body, and I remembered Colleen. And I thought, her patients leave, and she doesn't know whether they live or die. She doesn't know if they make it. She doesn't know what happened to me. And I have felt such gratitude. And I wished I could tell her in person, thank you. So I'm having this thought as I'm following the hostess. And the hostess seats us. I sit down in my seat, and I look to my left, and I see someone wearing a perfectly pressed button-down shirt, buttoned all the way up to the neck, and neatly at the wrists. And it's Colleen. And I turn to her and I introduce myself because I don't know if she recognizes me with hair and eyelashes. And I say, Colleen, it's Marlena. And she looks at me and I see that same compassion and presence in her face, and she says, Marlena, how are you?